While We Wait Here is an interesting indie game, and despite its short length, plays with some bold ideas. For its cheap price, this one is definitely worth a few hours of playtime, but it never does quite enough with its ideas to make for a wholly satisfying experience. The game plays out as an intriguing horror and restaurant simulator mix. Situated in a diner in the middle of nowhere, the end of the world is nigh. But for Cliff, he's too busy flipping burgers to fully realise the gravity of his situation. And that's for good reason. Cliff is suffering from visions of the past, and specifically an incident that took place involving his wife Nora. I won't spoil that here, but suffice to say it hangs heavy over Cliff's conscience. To block that out, he instead focuses on the various patrons that show up at the diner, including workaholic Hank and UFO fanatic Eddie, to name a few. The story jumps between different states, with most of the core gameplay loop shifting between a simple walking simulator, as you learn about Cliff's past, and a cooking element which makes up the bulk of the busy work. Cooking is quite straightforward, once you get the hang of it. Your inventory slots in 4 items which you can grab from the fridge, freezer or storage rack. Then you can use those items to interact with the different cooking utensils in the kitchen, like frying pans and blenders. There's also the usual bells and whistles, including washing up and drying, along with throwing rubbish away. However, these also use up slots in your inventory, so there's a bit of resource management involved. You mainly cook for the core clientele at the diner, with 4 storylines to chew through. There are a couple of cutaway segments that see you reliving parts of these characters' past, but they largely serve as busy work and a break from the cooking. However, some of these stories do tie into moral dilemmas that will shape how you manage to get good endings with them. There are dialogue choices throughout, but most are quite straightforward if I'm honest, especially if you're gunning for all the achievements. The cooking side of things is actually really enjoyable, but it's also disappointingly basic. You can't burn food by keeping it on the stove for too long. You don't change the washing up water, ever, and there's no punishment for taking forever to give punters their orders. The animation for getting a plate out always includes grabbing a knife and fork as well, for some reason. I know this sounds really petty, given the game is less than £5 on the Steam store, but these little elements would have really helped add a layer of strategy to things. A timer on different diners, depending on their mood, which you can smooth over by talking to them, would help, along with influencing how much tip they give, which could, again, be another target to reach, an extra incentive to prioritise working faster. As it stands, the cooking is easily the highlight of the whole experience, despite how basic it is. The story is okay, but it does feel rushed, and it just kind of ends things when it's just starting to get good, which is a bit of a shame. There are also instances where the story will throw in a jump scare or a crazy reveal, and sometimes you'll be too wrapped up in your cooking to even realise. The music is great though, and the voice acting is decent all round. The animations are a bit wooden and the faces don't track with your movements, so you can literally stand on the other side of the diner and watch the characters having conversations with midair when they're addressing Cliff, which is pretty amusing. The graphics themselves are fine, but even with everything cranked up to ultra settings, there's a pixelated grainy feel that's intentional, and I suspect also there to avoid any lag. However, the items you use to cook with are pretty well animated, and the variety of dishes are good on the whole. Although, who puts 1 scoop of ice cream on pancakes, right? Minor gripes aside, While We Wait Here is a fun way to kill a couple of hours. The game has some neat ideas and themes at its heart, but is also crying out for a bit more playtime, more depth and customization with its cooking, which is pretty fun. Bad Vice's games have done a decent job with this though, and you'll come away pretty satisfied with what's here. This one's definitely worth checking out. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.